Right, Bismillah, we can start. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yesterday we began with Kitab al-Tahara, and we mentioned how, or the reason why, most of the scholars in the books of Fiqh start off with Tahara. We said that the pillars of Islam, the first pillar is the Shahadatain, straight after that is Salah. Salah is the second pillar. In order for this pillar to be in order, there are certain conditions which need to be fulfilled, and the first is Tahara, or cleanliness. Let me ask you from yesterday. Omar, what did we say Tahara is? What's the definition?
The linguistic definition is this purification.
Linguistically.
And, yeah, the cleanliness.
And in fiqh?
And in fiqh means the purification from the non-purification, like janaba or the two categories, minor and major.
So we said in the Shar'i term, Tahara is an-nadhafa. Okay, cleanliness. From what? From two types of things. Alam Ghir, what are those two?
Sheikh, Hadath and Khabath. And Hadath has two categories, Akbar and Asghar.
Hadath and Khabath. So we said when you're talking about Tahara, cleanliness in fiqh, you're talking about purification and cleanliness from two different things. The first is al-Khabath. Khabath is easy to remember. Khabath, we said, is something physical that you can see. So some sort of impurity, urine, stool, blood, etc. That is something that you can see and you clean it. Okay, so when we're speaking about Tahara, this comes into this chapter. How do we clean it? What's dirty and what's not dirty, etc. And we also spoke about Hadath. Hadath, we said, is metaphorical state. So you can't see whether a person has wudu or not. Okay, something metaphorical, invisible. And this Hadath is divided into two. You got Hadath Asghar and Hadath Akbar. Hadath Asghar, minor impurity, where a person, it's enough for them to make wudu, and if there's no water, they make tayammum, and we'll take tayammum and wudu later on, inshallah. As for Hadath Akbar, for example, a person who is on janaba, a person who had a wet dream, a woman on her menses, etc. Once she's clean, that's Hadath Akbar. Wudu is not enough. She has to make ghusl. Okay, so that's what we're talking about in this chapter. Thereafter, we said that in the Hanafi books, you find that immediately they start off with fara'idul wudu. Okay, and we said that how many fara'id do they have in wudu? Naeem?
Sorry, they've got 4 fara'id in wudu.
4 fara'id, mashallah. So you caught up yesterday. That's number 1.
Number 1 is the face.
Yes, to wash the face. So notice how they're speaking about that which is compulsory. Okay, so they're saying first is wash the face, al-wajh. Okay, and then
the hands.
And then the hands. What's the hand? Is it the palm or the hand, or up to where?
Up to the elbow.
Up to the elbows. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3?
The hair.
The hair. To wash or to wipe?
To wipe.
To wipe. And number 4?
The feet.
The feet.
Up until the ankles.
Are the ankles and the elbows included, Omar?
Sorry?
Are the ankles and the elbows included in washing or not?
Yeah, included or up to?
Yeah, so
Included.
Up to and including. Up to means up to here, and including, for example, including the elbow. Then, Alam Ghir, why don't they say that gargling and cleaning the nose is compulsory? Why not?
Because it's not apparent.
Yeah, so a little bit more detail. Naeem?
I'm not sure, Sheikh.
So they say the word
Sheikh,
in Arabic is, yeah, tell me.
Because the verse you made yesterday, you quoted a verse from Surah Ma'idah, I think.
Yeah, so that
verse
verse in
6,
Surah
where
Al-Ma'idah, that verse in Surah Al-Ma'idah, you need to learn it. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِذَا قُمْتُمْ إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ. That verse, make sure you learn it so you have a piece of evidence. Then they say, Allah says, فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ. Wash your faces. Wajh in the Arabic language, they say, مَا يَحْصُلُ بِهِ الْمُوَاجَهَةِ. When you literally face somebody. So let's say I'm looking at you now. You can see me in the camera. What can you see of me? You can see my face from here up to here. You can't see inside my mouth. You can't see inside my nose. Okay. So what they say, one of the evidences they use, or one of the reasoning they use is from this verse, a person cannot tell that gargling and cleaning the nose is compulsory. They say it's found in the sunnah. So we'll say in sunnah, meaning in the hadith. Hence, we will say it's sunnah and not compulsory. And as I told you, that's a majority opinion. Majority opinion says gargling and cleaning the nose is not compulsory. However, it is safer to do so. Then we mentioned that when it comes to wiping the head, what did they say is compulsory? How much?
The forehead.
How much?
a quarter.
Quarter of the
Quarter
head.
the
ربع
forehead.
الرأس. ربع الرأس. Okay. And what's the reasoning they use? Naeem?
I can't answer that, Sheikh.
Alam Gheer?
The reason is the same from the Quran, which says wipe over your head.
Yeah, so there's a few. فَامْسَحُوا B. They say that ba is لِلتَّبْعِيد, is to show that only a portion is required. And to support that, they say the hadith of Mughirah ibn Shu'bah radiallahu anhu, where the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says he wiped his forehead. Forehead is the front part of the head, as well as over his turban. Okay, so they say a quarter of the head, and this is according to them. Again, it's safer, and they also agree that it's sunnah to wipe the whole head and washing the feet up to and including the ankles. Thereafter, we move on. So up to there, you people understood. So if somebody had to ask you, Fara'idul wudu, you know according to the Hanafi madhab. The others, they add a few. Thereafter, they move on to what's called Sunan al-wudu. Okay, let's put a line there. Sunan, something which is sunnah, something highly encouraged. Okay, but why is it sunnah? Because they'll tell you that the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam did it almost all the time. There are some sunan he did all the time. He never left. Example, 2 units before Fajr, but they're sunnah. A person, if they leave it out, their wudu is still counted. Okay, and then they give you a few different sunan. So the first is to wash the hands up to the wrist. So if you look from here, and your wrist is here, ila al-rusaghayn. Okay, that's when somebody wakes up and before making wudu. There's 2 ahadith. They say it's sunnah. Okay, so let's say to wash al-yadayn means 2 hands up to the wrist. Ila al-rusaghayn. So if somebody tells you, for example, I went to make wudu and I immediately started washing my face and I didn't wash my hands up to the wrist at the beginning, is my wudu complete or it's not? You tell them your wudu is still valid, it's complete. You left out a sunnah. Okay. Number 2 is, they say at-tasmiyah. Tasmiyah, to say Bismillah. Okay. The person's beginning his wudu, he says Bismillah. If he forgets, it's okay. His wudu is still valid. So these you've got to make notes and you've got to remember. Number 3, they say, is as-siwak, to use a miswak. And the place of miswak, they say, is when gargling the mouth. So for example, let's say a person's washed the hands up to the wrist, then they take their siwak, they clean, and then when they're gargling, they'll spit out whatever they cleansed. And the scholars have a difference of opinion. Do you make siwak with your right hand or your left hand? And a very balanced opinion is, if your mouth needs to be cleaned, let's say your mouth is dirty or you haven't opened your mouth for a long time and there's a smell coming from it and you want to cleanse it, then you use your left hand. And if, let's say, your mouth is clean already, but you just want to fulfill a sunnah, let's say just before salah, you want to make siwak quickly, then they say there, the fact that it's clean, you're just fulfilling a sunnah, you can use your right hand. All in all, or bearing in mind that this is something vast. It's not to say that if somebody did it with the right hand, it's wrong, or left hand, it's wrong. No, it's just something that's discussed. So when making wudu, as-siwak, to make your miswak, is sunnah. Number 4, because the Hanafi madhab said that it's not compulsory to gargle and to clean the nose, we'll say here number 4 is to gargle and clean the nose. Okay, it's called al-madmadah. Madmadah, from the word you can hear it. In English, it's called onomatopoeia, where the word sounds like what it actually is. So that's madmadah, is when you gargling, and istinshaq. Okay, istinshaq. If you don't know the spellings of these, tell me later, then I'll write for you. And this is 3 times. Okay, sunnah. Even if a person does it once, it's okay. They've fulfilled a sunnah of doing it. How does a person gargle and clean the nose? According to the Hanafi madhab, he takes, for gargling, the best is 3. So, for example, 1, he gargles, spits out. 2, he gargles, spits out. 3, he gargles, he spits out. So he's taken water 3 times, and then he cleanses the nose, takes water, right hand put it into the nose, left hand clean it. There's 1, 2, 3. There's many different ways to do it. There's other madhahib which say in one taking you can put in the mouth as well as in the nose. So then a person would have taken water 3 times. And there's some who even go further and push it. It's very difficult to do. We'll probably need a lot of practice. But in one taking, you do it 3 times. But it's very difficult. I've never managed to do that. They say al-madmadatu wal-istinshaq. Okay. And as we mentioned, the majority opinion in the madhab is 3 and 3, where you take water a new time. Okay. So that's number 4. Number 5. They say takhlilul lihya. So if a person has a beard, now we're not talking about skin touch beards that are just covering the face. We're talking about a beard that's going longer than the face. They say that takhlil is just to pass a wet hand through it. So for example, if you took your hand like this, like a comb, and you just put it through your beard like that. So you don't have to wash it, you just put it through. And in the Hanafi madhab, they say, according to Imam Abu Yusuf, is sunnah, and according to Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Muhammad ibn al-Hassan, it's something mubah and permissible. They say takhlil al-lihya. Now, if a person's got a skin touch beard, for example, then it's just on their face, few hairs, it's very light, they would wash it with their face. Okay, so the water will get through to the skin because it's something very light. Because takhlilul lihya here for a long beard, sunnah. Number 6 is, they say takhlilul asabi', which means takhlil, same word, but here they're talking about the fingers. So to go in between the fingers. So as you see, my camera is not too clear, I don't have water, but if you look here, person had water in this hand, for example, and then they can put it through the other hand so the water gets everywhere. That's bearing in mind that it's already been washed. To do this extra is sunnah. If it's still dry, you actually have to wash it. It shouldn't be dry. So that's when it comes to the fingers as well as the toes. So toes, let's say a person's toe, you can just take his fingers and just put 1, 2, 3, or you can just put it 1 time straight through. So you know that the water has reached in between the fingers and the toes. Say takhlilul asabi'. Okay. Asabi al-rijl. Okay, that's fingers and toes. And then you've got number 7, sunnah also, is tathlith, from thalatha. So to wash 3 times. Okay. So as I mentioned to you yesterday, to wash once is compulsory. Okay. To wash once is compulsory. 2 is a little bit more, and 3 is sunnah. That's for whatever you're washing. As for wiping the head, it's only once. If you do it 3 times, it becomes as though you're washing. So let's say a person, when they're making wudu, they do everything once, their wudu is still valid, they've come with the bare minimum. Twice, a little bit better, they've come with a little bit of the sunnah. And thrice is the sunnah. 4 times now you shouldn't increase. So you stop there at 3. So you can make once, twice, or thrice. So you're washing your face, wash it once, wash it twice, wash it thrice. Hands up to the elbows, once, twice, thrice, etc. So that is tathlith. I'm just going to put a 3 here so you understand. Okay. Then number 8. This is according to the Hanafi madhab only. They say niyyah, okay, in wudu, not in everything else. In wudu is sunnah, not compulsory. And I gave you the example where that would be applicable. If a person's in a boat, or let's say another example, if you buy a swimming pool and you see somebody drowning and you jump in to rescue them, okay, you jump in, you get them, take them out, and you also jump out. You didn't intend to make wudu. According to the Hanafi madhab, you still have wudu. Why? Because fara'idul wudu are done. Your face, your hands, your head, your feet are all done. And they say to make that niyyah is sunnah. According to the others, they say that niyyah is compulsory. Hence, if a person fell into a lake and came out, according to the others, they wouldn't have wudu. According to the Hanafi madhab, they would have wudu, bearing in mind that this niyyah they're speaking about here, where it's not a condition or it's not fard, in wudu. When it comes to tayammum, etc., they have a different opinion. 7, 8. Okay. Then after that, number 9, mashu kull ras, to wipe the whole head. So we said compulsory according to them is a quarter. Hence they say sunnah is to wipe the whole head. And we mentioned the safe opinion is to wipe the whole head. Then number 10, they say to wipe the ears. Okay. So after a person's finished wiping the head, then he wipes the ears. Okay. So I'm going to put here al-udhun. And they say that once you've wiped the head, don't take new water. The same water, the same wetness that's on your hand, wipe the ear with it. Okay. Number 11, they say a tartib. Tartib is to go in order. So according to them, it's sunnah. Hence, if a person started wudu by first washing their feet, then wiping their head, then washing their face, then washing the hands, according to them, that wudu is still valid. They've left out a sunnah. Again, but best is to stay out of difference of opinion and do that which is agreed upon. So they're saying it's sunnah. Some say it's compulsory. And then number 12, they say is called al-muwalah. Muwalah is where you wash the parts of wudu such that you don't leave a gap between them, a long gap. So for example, after you've washed your face, immediately you go to your hands, and immediately you then go to your head, and immediately you go to your feet. Okay, they say that's sunnah. Now let's say a person washes their face and then they remembered, oh, they needed to speak to somebody for 1 minute. So they went on their phone, they spoke to that person for the minute, they came, they carried on their wudu from let's say the hands as well as the head. According to them, it would be permissible. I say this is just sunnah to maintain this. Okay. And then number 13, some say is mustahab, which is a step a little bit lower than sunnah, still encouraged. Say at-tayamun. At-tayamun is to start with the right side. Okay. So let's say a person starts wudu, starts off by washing his left hand, and then he starts with his right hand. His wudu is still valid, but he's left a sunnah or something which was mustahab. And number 14, and this is only according to the Hanafi madhab, is to wipe the neck or the nape. So here at the back. Okay. So after wiping the head, and then they wipe the back of the neck. The others say it's a bid'ah, and it's an innovation, something that wasn't there. Because I'm just telling you because it's in the book, and you'll come across it. So if you look at it, we've taken roughly 14 encouraged acts in wudu, and between sunnah and mustahab. I hope you guys understood. Is there any questions?
Sorry, Sheikh.
What is
Okay. Jazakallah khair. Sheikh, sorry, could you just repeat number 11? I just missed out on number 11.
Number 11, tartib, to go in order. So for example, they tell you it's sunnah to start off, let's say, with your face and then your hands and then your hair. Don't start off with your feet first.
Okay. Okay. Jazakallah khair.
How to know which madhab to follow? A simple answer. We explained to you why there's madhahib before. Okay? When you look at, let's look at the world and different countries. Generally, you find that all Muslims in the world fall into one of two major categories. First is, in their locality, there's some sort of madhab that's being followed. Would be the Hanafi madhab, Maliki madhab, Shafi madhab, Hanbali madhab, etc. And we told you yesterday why these madhahib came about. Okay, in this instance, a person is a layman, he doesn't know. The scholars in his locality are following the madhab. It's okay to follow them. There's no harm. You are not going to do any better. You don't know how to read the Quran, the Sunnah, to go through the books of fiqh. You have no clue. So you follow them. They are trusted and they know and trust the madhab. It's an imam's ijtihad that came before. Okay. Then at times you find that in a locality, there's people who say we don't follow a madhab. But if you look at them, what they're trying to say is they don't stick to one of the madhahib. In some of the opinions, they say that we feel that other madhahib have stronger opinions, so we take from them. But if you quiz them further, you'll find that generally most of them, they taking again from scholars who they trusted. They could have lived in the last few years, a few hundred years, Shaykh al-Islam, etc. So generally where he has an opinion, you find they'll take an opinion. They'll say, no, we're following the Quran and Sunnah. Yes, you're following the Quran and Sunnah according to Shaykh al-Islam and Taymiyyah rahimahullah's understanding. So you are still, whether you like it or not, following him. And then you find there's a small group of people, very small, who understand both sides, who have reached a level of ijtihad, bi'idhnillah, where they themselves would tell you, okay, here, even though he said that, we won't go with this, because they've learned and they studied. So for a lay person, you follow the scholar who you trust, bearing in mind that scholar who you trust might be following the madhab, or he may not be following the madhab. Meaning he may be sticking to one, or he may not be sticking to one. Number 14, we said, was to wipe the nape or the neck, and that's only according to Hanafi madhab. Naeem? Ibrahim?
Sorry. Okay.
Can
Sorry, Sheikh. Okay, after you.
Yalla, Ibrahim.
Can you quickly go over it? I came in a little late.
Okay, I'll go over it just now. Naeem?
Sheikh, I just had a quick question. If I have like a shower or a bath,
Yeah.
and I don't make the intention for wudu, would I have wudu after coming out of the shower or bath?
According to the Hanafi madhab, as long as your fara'idul wudu are complete, you would have wudu.
Jazakallah khair.
Even if you didn't gargle and clean your nose, because a majority opinion is it's not compulsory.
Okay, and even intention obviously is not compulsory.
According
So
to them is sunnah. Yeah. And wudu.
Okay. Jazakallah khair.
Ibrahim, I'll go for you quickly. It says sunan al-wudu. First is to wash the hands up to the wrist. Second is to say tasmiyah, bismillah. Third is siwak, to cleanse your mouth with a miswak. And we said its place is the place of gargling. And number 4 is to gargle and to cleanse the nose. So it's 2 in 1. Number 5 is to do takhlilul lihya. Just put a wet hand through the beard, those who have longer beards. Number 6, takhlilul asabi', to put the fingers, you put your fingers through your fingers as well as your toes, so in between, so no dry parts. Number 7 is to wash 3 times, so your face 3 times, your hands up to the elbows 3 times, gargle thrice, etc. 8 is to have niyyah. 9 is to wipe the whole head, sunnah. 10 is to wipe the ears, and we said using the water from wiping the head. 11, tartib, to go in order. 12, what did I tell you? Number 12, al-muwalah. Okay, I'll write it there. Al-muwalah. which means not to leave a time gap between washing the different organs. So you go one after the other. Don't waste time. 13, at-tayamun, to wash or to begin with the right side. And number 14, we said, according to the Hanafi madhab, is to wipe the neck or the nape. And we said the others say that it's an innovation, so you can leave it. So wiping the head, again, when it comes to wiping the head, there's a few different ways, okay? You can take, so let's say you've taken your water, your hands are wet now, you can go from the front all the way to the back, okay? All the way to the back and stop, okay? That's one way. The second way is you go to the back and you come forward again. Second way. Third way is you start roughly halfway here, you wipe forward and then you wipe backwards. Okay? That's 3 different ways.
So
Any other question?
when it comes to the ears, I've
Yeah.
seen some people, they do it in like a specific way, where they use a specific finger for a specific part of the ear.
Yeah, so you find that there's some people who will put a finger one inside the ear hole and then the other they'll go around the cavity of the ear like this, and the thumb they'll put it from behind the ear. So they'll take the thumb behind the ear, the index finger will go inside, and then they'll wipe around it. Wallahu alam, Allah knows best. Is that I don't know of it being thabit that there's a specific way you have to stick to. Wallahu alam. I think we'll check that. But that way, the way I just mentioned that some people do, you've covered the whole ear. So you've gone the back, you've done here, and you've done the inside. Done.
When it comes to wiping the neck, you do it after the ear or after the
Yeah.
what?
Well, they say wiping the neck. Some people, what they'll do is they'll go here, and then they'll wipe the neck. And I've seen others who'll wipe the head and then with the ear and then the neck. So what you do, I'll give you homework. Ask your local Hanafi sheikh and come and tell us.
All right, inshallah, I'll ask him.
Yeah, they're interesting to know which way is which. Nothing else? Yallah.
I have a question regarding washing the face.
Yeah.
To the person who has a big beard like me, and I wash my
Yeah.
face, the water
You
doesn't
have a
reach
big beard, you have
the
a small
jawline.
beard.
Huh? So
So you
not
have a
that big,
small
but
beard.
at least. Okay. The water doesn't reach my jawline and my chin, so I
So
have to take water 2-3 times. Yeah.
we'll take tomorrow, inshallah, the way they talk about a thick beard as well as a thin beard. So we'll take that tomorrow. Right, no other questions in fiqh? These masail, you need to learn them and learn them well. And as I told you before, every day you're taking new masail, and this is how you build up your fiqh. Tomorrow, somebody will ask you, and generally people only ask in fiqh, mainly people's questions are in fiqh. So you gather masail in zakah, you gathered masail in hajj. Hajj we went through a little bit quickly because it was the hajj time. Tahara, you gather these masail. Then what we'll do, inshallah, we'll slowly go through the evidence. So you got the ayah, as well as the hadith, as well as the ta'leel, reasoning. And then slowly you get into the other madhahib. That's why in Hidayah, for example, you find Hanafi madhab, and then they mention some of the opinions of Imam al-Shafi'i. Say, okay, Shafi'i said this, walana, walahu. Then they have a debate with him. Scholarly debate is okay to have, as long as respect is maintained. There's one more thing I wanted to mention. For those who are on book 1 Arabic, okay, inshallah, what I want to do, we've got al-Arabiyyah to bayna ilayk. What I want to do, bi'idhnillah, is to summarize that book for you, to take what's the most important from it. So we'll take the conversations and we'll take some of the exercises. And then in book 2, they start off with rules in Nahu, etc. So we'll take some of those pages together, and hopefully, bi'idhnillah, that Al-Arabiyyah Bayna Yadayk is about, I think now the new series is 8 volumes. Hopefully, if I can summarize all that for you guys, and you only take what's the most important, and you can finish within anywhere between 1 and 3 months. And inshallah, you'll be the first that we'll go through in this way. The others who are in book 2 will carry on, because it will be of benefit, bi'idhnillah, for myself as well as them. And the main point of this is not for you to sit for years and years and years just trying to understand and exercise. No, as long as you can speak, even if you make a few mistakes, etc., you'll be able to polish up. That's the main thing. So I thought I'll let you guys know about that. Inshallah, we'll start working on it. So we'll try to give you, for example, if the book is about 250 pages long, we'll try and choose about 70 pages. 70 pages, if you do about 5 a day, you would finish in 2 weeks. And then you move on to the next book, next book, next book. So within 3 months, bi'idhnillah, your understanding will be good, and you'll be able to speak a little bit, and you'll understand some grammar. Also, what's important to mention is, imagine this is a staircase or a step, okay? If you are starting here, okay, there's things that you are not going to understand. You're just not going to understand them. But carry on. Don't concentrate on this. Let's say you took 100 masail, okay, and you tried to understand. You understood 80. You've got 20 that you haven't understood here, whether it's Arabic or fiqh or whatever. Now, you're going to go to the next level, for example, another chapter or a higher book or a little bit more difficult. When you reach here, a lot of the times you'll find that what you learn at this level, bi'idhnillah, you're able to, you yourself alone, without a teacher, you'll be able to understand another 10 more here. It's just how it is. As long as you carry on learning and progressing, the difficulty will get more. Then you realize when you get here, and at this level, you may have left, let's say, 30% behind, you don't know. Then when you get here, you'll say, oh, now you're able to understand the remainder from here, and you've got here. But if you're only going to stay at square one, and you're not going to progress, it's not going to happen. This I'm talking about from my own experience. As Masail, I remember when I reached Medina, and I didn't speak much Arabic, I didn't understand a lot in terms of fiqh, in terms of Arabic. And when I reached, the sheikh was, I'll tell you where he was. He was in one of the books of fiqh speaking about khul' and talaq and etc. All those masail. I'd never heard what was khul' before in my life, ushratun nisa, etc., etc., etc. But I was there, I heard, didn't understand at the time, but years later, when we took those masail, the fact that I had just heard about them few years earlier, it already makes it easier for you. You've taken 10%, 20%. As long as there's benefit, remain, and bi'idhnillah, it will become easy for you. So I thought I'll let you guys know about that when it comes to Arabic, those who are in book 1. So I want to start again, and I want to give you just the zubda, the summary of it all, bi'idhnillah. A lot of the exercises to carry on writing and repeating, etc., there's benefit in them, but we've also got to realize that our time is limited. It's not like an institute where we meeting every day for 5 hours to learn Arabic only. We're not. So you've got to make the best of the circumstance we've got and take it from there. As for book 2, let me open book 2. Anybody got a question while I open the second book? Oh, no questions. Did you revise Zakah? Tabu Zakah. I want to ask those questions.
I have a question.
Ah,
Are you aware of Quizlet?
are you?
Are you aware of this website called Quizlet?
No.
Okay, so it's like a flashcard thing. It's like an online study. So I made so far only the study
You had
card.
you had sent it to me. I need to
Yeah.
see it. MashaAllah, a lot of you guys message me, and your messages just get lost in the chats. You must remind me, inshallah. I'll look at it.
I was asking about that, if you can get to it, to make sure if I made a mistake or not.
I'll check it, inshallah. يلا شيخ على مغير بسم الله. التدريب الثالث says صل بين العبارة والحوار المناسب. You see here there's a lot of repetition in these exercises. The moment you get to book 2, you'll find they start teaching you a lot more nahu, a lot more structure, etc. in more detail. So I want him to get to book 2 quickly. Those of you who don't understand, it will be of benefit for these if you're able to remain and just listen and hear, and you might pick up a few things, bearing in mind that at 9 o'clock we start with our reading. Yalla, bismillah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. التدريب الثالث صل بين العبارة والحوار المناسب. Match the phrases with
Sil means to
appropriate.
join. Yeah, so they're telling you to join between what's here and there. Right, let's go.
Number 1 الأول صالح قادم من تركيا. صالح comes from تركيا ليقضي عطلة رمضان في مكة, to spend holidays of Ramadan in Mecca. سيقيم في فندق قريب من المسجد الحرام. He will stay in a hotel near Masjid al-Haram.
Right. Number 1 goes with
should I join it?
Number 1 goes with which
It
questions?
goes with the با أين تقضي عطلة رمضان? Where do you spend your Ramadan holidays? في مكة. أين ستقيم? Where will you stay? في فندق بالقرب من المسجد الحرام. In a hotel near Masjid al-Haram. In a hotel nearby Masjid al-Haram.
So number 2, anybody else in book 2 who wants to read? Or you can put your hand up. Number 2, Alam, we'll carry on. Number 3, if anyone wants to read, put your hand up.
عامر أستاذ في جامعة القرى. Amir is a teacher in جامعة in a university القرى. يقضي عامر مع الأسرة والأهل والأصدقاء أيام العيد في المدينة المنورة أو مكة. Amir spends his Amir and his family and his friends spends their Eid days in Medina and Mecca. The answer would be أين تقضي العطلة يا أستاذ? Where are you going to spend your where are you spending your holidays, or teacher?
The holiday, yeah.
في المدينة, في المدينة أو مكة مع الأسرة وأهل الأصدقاء. In Medina and Mecca with family and friends.
Excellent. Anyone else wants to read? Naeem, yalla, read.
أبي ذهب إلى مكة وطاف حول الكعبة 7 أشواط وسعى بين الصفا والمروة. My father went to Mecca and made tawaf around the Kaaba.
Yeah, tawaf. Yeah.
Right. And walked from Safa.
Yeah, Sa'a is not necessarily to walk. It's to, and it's not to run either. It's like to move. And here they refer to moving hastily. But carry on.
And moved between from Safa.
We went between Safa and Marwa. Ahsant.
Okay. And on this side, I'm not sure. Is ماذا فعل والد في مكة?
So saying, what did your father do in Makkah? اعتمر. He made Umrah. All what is explained is summarized in the word Umrah. Yalla, Umar, read.
أذهب إلى عرفات بعد شروق الشمس. I went to the Arafat
أذهب
after
is present tense or future tense continuous. أذهب, I'm going.
I'm
Yeah.
going to Arafat after Shuruk al-Shams,
شروق
after the
is,
sunrise.
yeah. شروق from مشرق. So مشرق is east. شروق, the sun rises in the east. Carry on.
ثم أذهب إلى مزدلفة بعد غروب الشمس. I'm going to go to
Yeah.
Muzdalifah after the Maghrib.
ثم means then. Yeah. Then I will go to Muzdalifah after the sun sets. Okay, which one does it go with?
متى تذهب إلى عرفة؟
First one. Ahsant. First one. Well done. Who else is on level 2? التدريب الرابع اقرأ الفقرة ثم أجب بنعم أو بلا. They want you to read and they want you to then answer the question with yes or no. يلا على غير.
صالح يقضي عطلة رمضان في مكة والمدينة. صالح spends his holidays of Ramadan in Mecca and Medina. في مكة يسكن في فندق قريب من المسجد الحرام. In Mecca, he stays near in
He
a
stays
hotel
in a hotel.
nearby
Yeah.
مسجد الحرام. يذهب near مسجد الحرام, which is okay.
Yeah,
يذهب الصالح مع أسرته إلى المسجد قبل صلاة العصر. الصالح goes to the masjid with his family.
What does ma'a mean?
With the family.
أسرته,
the masjid.
his family, huh?
Yes, with his family to the masjid before Asr Salah. ويصلي المغرب والعشاء and prays and performs Maghrib and Isha. صالح يتناول الفطور في المسجد. صالح eats or breakfast in the masjid. ولا يأكل كثيرا, and he doesn't eat a lot. يتناول التمر والماء والقهوة, and he eats dates, water and قهوة. في المدينة يقيم صالح في شقة بعيدة عن المسجد النبوي. In Medina, Salih stays in a hotel, in an apartment far from Masjid Nabawi. ويذهب مع أسرته إلى المسجد النبوي قبل صلاة المغرب. And he goes with his family to Masjid Nabawi before Maghrib Salah. ويبقى إلى صلاة العشاء. And he stays till Isha Salah.
Yes.
ويصلي العشاء, and he prays Salah. ثم يذهب إلى الشقة بالحافلة. Then he goes to his apartment by bus. يقضي صالح يوم العيد الأول في المدينة. Salih spends his first day of Eid in Medina, واليوم الثاني في مكة, and the second day in Mecca.
أحسنت. يلا first one. صالح يقضي عطلة الحج في مكة والمدينة. نعيم.
نعم شيخ.
عمر. عمر.
نعم شيخ.
على مغيب.
لا.
They're saying he spends a Hajj holidays in Mecca and Medina. And they told you it's Ramadan holidays in Mecca and Medina. Okay. يلا next one. Number 2. يسكن صالح في مكة في شقة. Who else? Anyone wants to answer? Put your hand up, huh? Because there's so many people I can't see everybody who's here. على مغيب.
لا.
طيب أين يسكن؟
في فندق.
في فندق. طيب يسكن في المدينة في فندق عمر. نعيم.
لا.
طيب where does
في
he
شقة.
stay؟ في شقة. يذهب إلى المسجد يذهب إلى المسجد الحرام قبل صلاة العصر. نعيم.
نعم.
علم غير. is correct.
نعم.
يذهب إلى المسجد النبوي قبل صلاة العصر. علم غير.
لا.
طيب وين؟
بعد صلاة المغرب.
طيب يتناول في الفطور التمر والحليب. عفيفة.
لا. يتناول التمر والماء والقهوة.
تمام. يذهب صالح إلى الشقة بالحافلة. نعيم.
نعم.
بالحافلة. طيب يسكن في شقة قريبة من المسجد النبوي. عمر. not sure.
شوف I'm confused.
Okay, we wait for you for book 1. علم غير.
لا. في شقة
أحسن.
بعيدة عن
بعيدة.
المسجد النبوي.
أحسن. نعيم. يقضي صالح يوم العيد في المدينة.
نعم. يقضي صالح
يقضي اليوم الثاني في المدينة. نعيم.
لا.
لا. أحسنت. Well done. Can you see? All these exercises are really long, and inshallah what we'll do is a lot of them we're going to cut out. Okay, so you only take what's the most important. Is it important to go through them? Yes, if you've got the time, go through them. Okay, but we'll cut them all out and we'll give you a summarized version of the Arabic syllabus, and we'll see how you go from there, inshallah. So you see, all this is just repetition, so you're able to practice reading, you're able to make sentences, you're able to understand, etc. We got time for one more, unless you've got any questions in fiqh or any questions in Arabic. No questions. Yalla. So we read. علم غير. It says اقرأ الكلمات والنص ثم اكتب الكلمات في الفراغات. So you read the words. These are the words. And read the passage and then write the words in the gaps. يلا. علم غير.
فندق hotel. اللغة language. وقتا for a while. أسبوع
Yeah, وقتا means like
tomorrow.
time. We'll see what it means. The different context means differently. يلا. أسبوعا.
is أسبوع is tomorrow.
Week.
week yeah week. المسجد السوقي shopping mall.
السوق. You made that mistake in the first book, not السوق.
السوق.
ضمة.
السوق shopping mall.
يلا read. Let's go.
محمود طالب تايلاندي. محمود is a student from Thailand.
Yes, he's a Thai student. Carry on.
درس الجامعة في بلده. He studied in جامعة in his city. حضر محمود إلى مكة المكرمة.
Hold on. جامعة is a university, so he studied university in his country. Carry on.
حضر محمود إلى مكة المكرمة. محمود came to مكة المكرمة ليدرس اللغة العربية والثقافة الإسلامية بجامعة أم القرى. To study Arabic language and cultural and Islamic studies in the University of القرى. في السنة الأولى في السنة الأولى أولى
أولى
في السنة الأولى اعتمر محمود في شهر رمضان. In the first year, محمود performed عمرة in the month of Ramadan. ثم ذهب إلى الحج. Then he went for Hajj. محمود سعيد هنا في مكة. محمود is happy in Mecca. وهو يسكن في شقة جميلة قريبة من المسجد الحرام. And he lives in an apartment, beautiful apartment near the Masjid al-Haram.
أحسنت. Anyone else wants to read? Naim? Naim?
Sorry, Sheikh.
You want to read?
خضرت. I can try, Sheikh, but I might be a bit.
Read.
خضرت أسرة محمود
أسرة ها فاعل أسرة.
أسرة محمود من تايلاند إلى مكة للحج. That means that his family came from Thailand to Mecca to Mecca for Hajj.
carry on.
بعد الحج ذهبت الأسرة إلى المدينة مدينة المنورة.
مدينتي إلى is حرف جر, as you'll take later, so the word after it must have a كسرة. مدينتي.
Okay, after Hajj, his family went to Medina al-Munawwara. This one, I can't read it. سكنت الأسرة في فندق قريب من المسجد النبوي. His family stayed in a hotel. Stayed in a hotel near from Masjid Nabawi. تصلي الأسرة تتناول بعد
you must align تصلي الأسرة الصلوات الخمسة في المسجد النبوي. Are you with us? Not with us? Carry on على غير.
تصلي الأسرة الصلوات الخمسة في المسجد النبوي. The family performed 5 prayers in Masjid Nabawi. وبعد صلاة العشاء تذهب إلى السوق. And after Isha Salah, they went to the shopping mall. تناولوا بعض الطعام والشراب. And they rested after.
تتناول is to partake, to literally, in other words, to eat.
And they ate
some food.
And drink. Yeah.
Absent.
They ate some food and drink. Yeah.
Well done. We'll stop there. And
sorry, Sheikh, my battery died on my phone.
Okay, so you were saved. Yalla, inshallah, we'll start the other book at 9 o'clock. I want to ask you, what does sallallahu alayhi wasallam mean? Who was here yesterday? Ibrahim.
What Salah means, you're sending salah and salam upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
And what does salah and salam mean?
So salah is like honor, and then salam.
You're literally asking Allah to honor and to raise in rank and to exalt the name of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And salam.
Salam is to protect. So you're giving like
Yeah, from salama, from salam, which is to be free from any form of yeah. Alam ghaib, salam. You weren't here. Who was here yesterday? Who made notes yesterday? So you must go and read here. Look here. Before this, that 1-2 pages, you must read. Okay. And then you must summarize it and keep it in your notes. Anytime anybody asks you, you know the answer. Anytime you want to teach somebody, you know the answer. Okay. All right, 9 o'clock. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So we start off with chapter 1, an example for humanity. So section 1, chapter 1, and chapter 1 has 2 sections. Section 1 is speaking about the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the excellent example. Section 2, aspects of emulating the Prophet's example. Okay. Yallah. The Messenger, the excellent example. The best people to interpret and embody the meaning of Allah's words and His injunctions are His messengers and prophets, whom He sent as guides for humanity. Muslims believe that the prophets and messengers from Adam, may Allah exalt his mention, to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, were infallible and inerrant. Means they never erred. They didn't have sin. Okay. This means that they were not subject to committing sins, and naturally there is no better example to follow than one who is not subject to sinning. In Allah's infinite wisdom, He sent human beings for us to follow as examples, so that we would have practical and realistic role models. In the Quran, we read the verses that say, and then He is giving you the meaning of the verse, what kept men back from belief when guidance came to them was nothing but this. They said, has Allah sent a man like us to be His messenger? Say, if they were settled on earth, angels walking about in peace and quiet, we should certainly have sent them. The ayah is saying, or Allah Jalla wa Ala is saying, that if He sent angels, the people would have said, these are angels, they're doing so much, and we are not like angels. Hence, He sent human beings so that people are able to emulate and follow. Prophet Muhammad was tasked with the responsibility of receiving, interpreting, and exemplifying the revelation. Allah says in the Quran, you have indeed in the Messenger of Allah a beautiful pattern. For anyone whose hope is in Allah and the final day, and who engages much in the praise of Allah. Allah the Exalted also says what means, and whatsoever the Messenger gives you, take it, and whatsoever he forbids, abstain from it, and keep your duty to Allah. Lo, Allah is stern in reprisal. I missed a line there. The life and example of Prophet Muhammad served 2 main objectives. So now he's telling you why was the Messenger sent, and says 2 main reasons. Okay. He was a chosen prophet and messenger who delivered the message and invited people to it. And he was an exemplary human being upon whom Muslims pattern their behavior and character. His guidance and practice is the only means to understand Allah's commands and perform duties towards Allah in the way that pleases Him. So the Messenger ﷺ had a message to deliver. He came with that message, that wahi, and he himself was an exemplary human being. So we have got to emulate and follow in his footsteps. In addition to teaching Islamic rites in the correct manner, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ also taught Muslims how to develop sound morals and good character. Long before the beginning of his mission, he was truthful and honest. People trusted him because he did not lie or cheat and always kept his promise. He, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was nicknamed As-Sadiq Al-Amin, the one who is truthful and trustworthy. A person does not get to that level by mere words. His actions and his character must be such that people believe him and trust his words. The Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was kind, patient, and tolerant. He was not harsh or severe. He, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, did not use bad language or curse, neither did he get angry or lose his temper. This gentle, kind nature attracted others to him and made them love and obey him. They loved the man as well as the messenger and became better human beings by associating with him. This is the mark and influence of a genuine person. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had the ability to improve the lives of people in his own generation, and his example continues to inspire countless people for centuries. This is a testament to his prophethood, his genius and exemplary character. And for us, what we also learn and take from this is people see and people learn from your character and conduct. There's no point in telling everybody, do this and don't do this, when we ourselves are not adhering to the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, especially in terms of his character as well as his conduct. And you know, when you ponder over the verse and the deeper you get into it, Allah tells the Messenger, it's only by the mercy of Allah were you kind and lenient towards your companions. فَبِمَا رَحْمَةٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ لِنْتَ لَهُمْ. Then he tells him, if you are hard and harsh, وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَظًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَانْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. They would have turned away. Now ponder over this for a second. He sallallahu alayhi wasallam had what? He had the speech of Allah. 100% correct, nothing wrong, the perfect speech. Was that perfect speech, him holding it, was that enough for the people to take from him? No. Allah is telling him that you also have to have good character and conduct. If you had this perfect message without the character and conduct, they would have left the message also. So what about when you're at home, when you want to solve a dispute, when you're with your children, when you're with your husband, when you're with your wife, when you're with your parents, etc. At times we may be right in terms of a dispute or having certain rights, but the way you go out and you carry yourself, you conduct yourself, you lose the right with the other person. They don't want to listen, they don't want to hear, and it's only because of how you're treating them or how you're speaking or how you're shouting, etc. So it's a very important verse that you've got to ponder and you've got to carry on thinking about and practicing upon. Then he says, Allah says, what means there has certainly been for you in the Messenger of Allah an excellent pattern for anyone whose hope in Allah and the last day and who remembers Allah often. Ibn Kathir rahimahullah, famous mufassir, commented, this holy verse contains the great principle of adhering to the sayings, actions and injunctions of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah sent his messenger as mercy and guidance to humanity. Therefore, the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam became the best of examples for those hoping to please Allah and those hoping for a high status in the hereafter, for people who do not desire exaltedness upon the earth or corruption, i.e., they're doing it for the sake of Allah and not for this worldly gain. And another interesting thing I'll tell you is that there's a lot of people who memorize ayat in the Quran, who memorize ahadith, who know many different rulings. They have all these ahkam, but what they lack a lot of the times is the nur and iman in the hearts. I.e., you find somebody, for example, in business, they might know the hadith and memorized it, then the fiqh of it, where the Messenger ﷺ is saying that Allah has mercy, or making dua, may Allah have mercy on a person who's easygoing and kind when he buys and sells and when he pays debt or when he has to collect debt. You know the meaning, but what about practicing upon that? You probably find that a lot of the times people like that, they'll know the hadith, but unfortunately they won't be able to implement it. We know the hadith of not getting angry. How many of us, people get angry, but how many of us make an effort to say that is the teaching and order of the Messenger ﷺ, let me try and follow it, subdue my desire. So it's a very fine line. In fact, there's not a fine line, there's a great divide a lot of the times between people's acquired knowledge and what they've learned and putting this knowledge into practice. Then he says the definition of an example. So this is fi Rasulillahi uswatun hasana. I think we'll stop there because then he carries on in more detail. So you see, in these few minutes where you're reading, don't worry about finishing the book. Take something of benefit, take it, ponder over it, practice upon it, share it, go over it again, summarize it. That's what it's all about. If you look at knowledge in the whole world is too much, you won't even take 0.1% of all the knowledge. So what's the point in trying to just go quickly and not understand? No, you're learning so you can understand and implement and practice and become a better person. Any questions on this book? Before we move on to the next book. And this, you find this, you're learning Islamic knowledge right now, where you're learning your fiqh as well as your Arabic, as well as your tafsir. And on the other hand, you're learning skills, you're learning about the seerah, you're learning how to become a better person, you're learning how to interact with others, etc. And you must carry on in this quest of knowledge and becoming a better person. And hopefully, bi'idhnillah, Allah Jalla wa Ala opens your doors and makes you a reason for others to benefit and others to also be guided bi'idhnillah. Because that's all you need at the end of the day in this world. What else? All your wealth that a person may accumulate in this world, whether you have 1 billion or 100 billion, you'll only have it for 10, 20, 30, 50 years. After that, it's gone. There's nothing else remains unless you did good with that wealth. So similarly, when it comes to you living as a human being, a lot of the times we just live for the sake of living, and you say, you know what, wake up, eat, and carry on, and we carry on in our routine. But have we ever asked ourselves that the Messenger ﷺ was a perfect human being? لقد كان لكم في رسول الله أسوة حسنة وإنك لعلى خلق عظيم. And one of the reasons for that was for us to learn from his character and conduct. So has the time not come where we question ourselves on a daily basis? When it comes to our ibadat, when it comes to our relationship with Allah, when it comes to our relationship with the Quran, when it comes to our relationships at home, etc., where we can become better people. I want to open the second book. Inshallah, if there's a time once I'm finished, if you've got a few points, how many points do you have to share?
Only 2.
Okay. You can share
Okay,
them.
first is like we are the Ummah of Nabi Sallam, so we should
Sorry,
reflect. We are the Ummah of Nabi Sallam, so we should have some of the qualities. We should try to, like you mentioned, how the Prophet recited Quran, how what Prophet was in his daily, how he was doing his daily work and all that. So we should also, pick some of the habits and ways of Prophet and add those in our life. And I thought that's it. That's all I want to share. Thank you.
Well then, as you people, you must read, make points, summarize, and you'll find you'll be able to benefit others with those points also. Why are other Anbiya referred to as radiyallahu anhum as not sallallahu alayhi wasallam? It's a dua, and it's become, you mean other Anbiya referred to alayhi salatu wassalamu alayhi salam. It's just a dua. It's just a dua. So in some books, you find some of the scholars, they've written like, or some people will tell you radiyallahu ank, etc. But it's become a custom and it's become known that radiyallahu anhu is used for the Sahaba, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, used for the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and alayhi salam, alayhi salatu wassalam, sometimes they use for other Anbiya. Anyway, we carry on with our second book. This one I'll read quickly. And this book is speaking about how to win friends and influence people. And for those who weren't here yesterday, we said when you read these secular books, yes, you read to benefit, bearing in mind that as a Muslim, your intention should be for the sake of Allah, number one. And number two is that anything that you find that is contrary to Islam, you leave it. So those are two important points that you got to remember. Anyone remember where we stopped yesterday? As far as I remember, the guy was making a course for people. And we stopped around here. In fact, we took that also. He was talking about the importance of how to deal with people and the fact that there's not much that's been written. And he was talking in his time here, in his time, 1912. He says there's not much that was written and there were not a lot of courses for people to learn how to deal with other people. And if you're able to master this skill when it comes to dealing with others, you'll find that you're able to get whatever you want, bi'idhnillah. And especially a da'iyah, somebody who's calling to Allah, an alim, somebody in any other position. whether it's a worldly position, your work position, etc. If you know how to deal with people, then inshallah, you get the best out of them, you get the best for yourself, and you move forward as a whole. Right, I think we stopped here. So he's talking about his course when he gathered it. He says, I personally interviewed scores of successful people, some of them world famous inventors. Then he mentions all of them. Then he says, from all this material, I prepared a short talk. I called it How to Win Friends and Influence People. I say short. It was short in the beginning, but it soon expanded to a lecture that consumed 1 hour, 30 minutes. For years, I gave this talk each season to the adults at his institute at the time in New York. I gave the talk and urged the listeners to go out and test it in their business and social contexts, and then come back to class and speak about their experiences and the results they had achieved. And there's a point I want to touch on here. Sometimes you learn something new. Let's say you've learned it here. When you want to implement it, you may only be able to implement it about 1%, 2%, 5%. It doesn't mean you must give up. No, when you start something new, generally, you won't be the best at it. As long as you carry on and on and on and on and persevere, you become better. Okay, so it says, what an interesting assignment. These men and women, hungry for self-improvement, were fascinated by the idea of working in a new kind of laboratory, the first and the only laboratory of human relationships for adults that had ever existed. This book wasn't written in the usual sense of the word. It grew as a child grows. It grew and developed out of the laboratory, out of the experiences of thousands of adults. Years ago, we started with a set of rules printed on a card no larger than a postcard. The next season, we printed a larger card, then a leaflet, then a series of booklets, each one expanding in size and scope. After 15 years of experiment and research came this book. And that's another interesting thing I'll tell you, is that you sometimes, you have an idea. It may take years to write. The scholars who've written books, it's taken them 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, etc. So you've got to not give up and realize that certain things take time. Imagine how long Ibn Hajar rahimahullah wrote Fathul Bari, in how many years it must have taken him to write. So similarly, you can start today, you have a project, it may take so many years. And at times you find there were books that scholars started and they died before finishing, and then someone else comes and he writes, and then somebody else comes and they try to finish. For example, Tafsir Adwa al-Bayan, Shaykh Muhammad al-Amin al-Shinqiti, he was writing, and then towards the end, before he finished, he passed away. And then his student, Shaykh Atiyah Salim, is the one who finished off Adwa al-Bayan. So my point is that you've got to be patient. Things take time. And he says, the rules we have set down here are not mere theories or guesswork. They work like magic. Incredible as it sounds, I have seen the application of these principles literally revolutionize the lives of many people. To illustrate, a man with 314 employees joined one of these courses. For years, he had driven and criticized and condemned his employees without stint or discretion. Kindness, words of appreciation, and encouragement were alien to his lips. After studying the principles discussed in this book, this employer sharply altered his philosophy of life. His organization is now inspired with a new loyalty, a new enthusiasm, a new spirit of teamwork. 314 enemies have been turned into 314 friends. As he proudly said in a speech before the class, when I used to walk through my establishment, no one greeted me. My employees actually looked the other way when they saw me approaching, but now they are all my friends, and even the janitor calls me by my first name. This employer gained more profit, more leisure, and what is infinitely more important, he found far more happiness in his business and in his home. Countless numbers of salespeople have sharply increased their sales by the use of these principles. Many have opened up new accounts that they have formerly solicited in vain. Executives have been given increased authority, increased pay. One executive reported a large increase in salary because he applied these truths. Another, an executive in the Philadelphia Gas Works Company, was slated for demotion when he was 65 because of his belligerence, because of his inability to lead people skillfully. This training not only saved him from the demotion, but brought him a promotion with increased pay. What he's trying to tell you, in other words, even though he's a non-Muslim, saying that this good manners, as Muslims, we believe it benefits you in the Akhirah, and also you get some sort of worldly benefit also comes your way. On innumerable occasions, spouses attending the banquet given at the end of the course have told me that their homes have been much happier since their husbands or wives started this training. Also works at the home. You have good manners. People are frequently astonished at the new results they achieve. It all seems like magic. In some cases, in their enthusiasm, they have telephoned me at my home on Sundays because they couldn't wait 48 hours to report their achievements at the regular session of the course. One man was so stirred by a talk of these principles that he sat far into the night discussing them with other members of the class. At 3 o'clock in the morning, the others went home, but he was so shaken by a realization of his own mistakes, so inspired by the vista of a new and richer world opening before him, and that he was unable to sleep. He didn't sleep that night or the next day or the next night. Who was he? A naive, untrained individual, ready to gush over any new theory that came along. No, far from it. He was a sophisticated dealer in art, very much the man about town who spoke 3 languages fluently. And sometimes when you're reading, this I'll tell you anyway, you don't have to read every single word. If you understand it, you can carry on. That's what I believe anyway. If you guys want to carry on reading every single word, then you come there. It says, while writing this chapter, I received a letter from a German of the old school, an aristocrat whose forebears had served for generations as professional army officers under, I don't know how to pronounce that. His letter, written from a transatlantic steamer, telling about the application of these principles, rose almost to a religious fervor. Another man, an old New Yorker, Harvard graduate, a wealthy man, the owner of a large carpet factory, declared he had learned more in 14 weeks through this system of training. So basically all that he's telling you here is how other people benefited. Okay, saying is the book an advertisement for his course? No, not really. He's just telling you he's telling you how so many people benefited from the book, so that you when you start reading, your mind has already been primed to say, okay, a lot of people have benefited, so you're looking for that piece of benefit. And you find sometimes when people are not primed, they don't understand the value of something. And it's an art on its own. It's an art on its own. So this you can learn. So tomorrow, Ibrahim, when you're selling something, you must come and take all these points and then summarize about 7. And you must say who benefited and who didn't benefit. So all this is telling you how people benefited. All this is telling you how people benefit. And this hasn't yet started off. There's one point here. So you see, he tells you here, it says the sole purpose of this book is to help you discover, develop, and profit by those dormant and unused assets. So his point is that every person has an asset. What's his asset? His character and conduct. There's things which are hidden. Says this person said that. He said, if by the time you have finished reading the first 3 chapters of this book, if you aren't then a little better equipped to meet life situations, then I shall consider this book to be a total failure, so far as you are concerned. For the great aim of education, said Herbert Spencer, is not knowledge but action. So he's saying whatever you learn, he's promising you, he's telling you, first 3 chapters you're going to learn something, otherwise the book is a failure, and you need to go out and implement. And then he starts off on the book. Oh no, these are 9 suggestions on how to get the best out of the book. Also important, but we can summarize them. But this, I promise you, I heard one sheikh speak about this. He said, I read the book in Arabic, and says the author said that you must read this book every month. Okay, go through it every month. He said, and I started doing it. And he said, I found so many people, the attitude towards me changed. A lot of people, they started to like me, etc., etc., etc. So it's very interesting. It says, if you wish to get the most out of this book, there is one indispensable requirement, one essentially infinitely more important than any rule or technique. Unless you have this one fundamental requisite, 1,000 rules on how to study will avail little. And if you do have this cardinal endowment, then you can achieve wonders without reading any suggestions for getting the most out of a book. He said, what is the magic requirement? Just this: a deep, driving desire to learn, a vigorous determination to increase your ability to deal with people. How can you develop such an urge? By constantly reminding yourself how important these principles are to you. Picture to yourself how their mastery will aid you in leading a richer, fuller, happier, and more fulfilling life. Say to yourself over and over, my popularity, my happiness, and sense of worth depend to no small extent upon my skill in dealing with people. And that's very true. It's very, very true. And it says, read each chapter rapidly at first to get a bird's eye view of it, so you get an idea. It says you'll probably be tempted then to rush on to the next one, but don't unless you are reading merely for entertainment. If you're reading because you want to increase your skill in human relations, then go back and reread each chapter thoroughly. In the long run, this will mean saving time and getting results. Number 3, stop frequently in your reading to think over what you are reading. Ask yourself just how and when you can apply each suggestion. Number 4, it says read with a crayon or a pencil. And this I told you guys, anything of benefit, you mark it. And when you come across a suggestion and you feel you can use or draw, etc. Marking and underscoring a book makes it more interesting and far easier to apply. Then it says, I know a woman who had been an office manager for a large insurance concern for 15 years. Every month she read all the insurance contract her company had issued that month. Yes, she read many of the same contracts over month after month, year after year. Why? Because experience had taught her that was the only way she could keep their provisions clearly in mind. I once spent almost 2 years writing a book on public speaking, and yet I found I had to keep going back over it from time to time in order to remember what I had written in my own book. That's so true. So many times there's masail, I teach you guys, and then I say, oh, did I actually teach you that masala? Meaning, what's the masala? And years later. So it happens to everybody. Forgetfulness is something that every single human being goes through and has. Okay? So it says the rapidity, meaning how fast we forget, is actually astonishing. So if you want to get a real lasting thing, all this in summary, he says make notes and do that. And number 6, he says, if you teach a man anything, he will learn. This is Bernard Shaw. If you teach a man anything, he will never learn. Shaw was right. Learning is an active process. We learn by doing. So if you desire to master the principles you are studying in this book, do something about them. Apply these rules at every opportunity. If you don't, you will forget them quickly. Only knowledge that is used sticks in your mind. Okay? There's two more points. It says, offer your spouse, your child, or some business associate a dime or dollar every time he or she catches you violating certain principles, and that's how people keep themselves intact or keep themselves disciplined. And then number 8 is telling you about the president of a Wall Street bank. He said, in a talk before one of my classes, a highly efficient system he used for self-improvement. This man had little formal schooling, yet he had become one of the most important financiers in America. And he confessed that he owed most of his success to the constant application of his homemade system. This is what he does. I'll put in his own words. For years, I have kept an engagement book showing all the appointments I had during the day. My family never made any plans for me on Saturday night, for the family knew that I devoted a part of each Saturday evening to the illuminating process of self-examination and review and appraisal. After dinner, I went off by myself, opened my engagement book, and thought over all the interviews, discussions, and meetings that had taken place during the week. I asked myself, what mistakes did I make? What did I do that was right? In what way could I have improved my performance, etc.? And this shows you as a person that if these are non-Muslims taking account of their lives, and we as Muslims are also supposed to take account of our lives. See, what did you do today? Who did you interact with? What mistakes did you make, etc. All that, and then you try to refine and become a better person. And there's a habit that a lot of people have now, is where they journal. So they have a page in a book and they write. So for example, what did I do today? What mistakes did I make? What didn't I do? Interactions, memories, etc. What do I need to do tomorrow? And also if they have certain achievements that they're following, and all that helps you. If you get into that habit, I found it to be beneficial, even though I'm not as regular, but they call it journaling, and you've got special journals, even Islamic journals now that have come out. So this man is telling you how important it is to carry on keeping account of yourself. And Umar radiallahu anhu says, "Hasibu anfusakum qabla an tuhasabu." Take account of yourselves before account will be taken, and that is speaking about deeds, and all that is included in your deeds. Number 9, and I'm sure this is the last point. He says, you will find at the end of this book several blank pages, i.e., you must make your own notes in order to get the most out of the book. And then there he summarized it for you. Develop a deep driving desire to master the principles. Read each chapter twice. As you read, stop, frequently to ask yourself, are you what you're reading and how to apply? Underscore each important idea. Review this book each month. It says apply these principles at every opportunity. Make a lively game for your learning. Check up each week on the progress you are making. Keep notes in the back of this book. With that, inshallah, you start off with chapter 1 on Thursday. Right, let's come to your questions. Someone writing in the chat. I believe it was Al-Ghazali has said something similar to devote 1/3 of the day to reflect on yourself and affairs. Wallahu alam. I don't know whether he said that or not, but reflection and pondering over the creation of Allah is an act of worship, as well as pondering over what you've prepared. Ya alladhina amanu taqullah wal tanzur nafsum ma qaddamat lighad. Allah says, have taqwa of Allah, and every soul should look at what it has prepared for tomorrow. Wattaqullah. It says, and have taqwa of Allah. Don't be like those who forgot Allah. Any questions? Anybody wants to share anything? It's a good time. We finished past. There's a business book we want to read through, and there's a few more lessons also we'll carry on. This is the first week we're back, and slowly we'll work out the time, inshallah. For those who didn't read, is this more beneficial if one of us reads, or you want to go back to reading alone? Or because you'll never read? Huh, Ibrahim?
I think it's better if you read, because